You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to the line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your website, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Welcome to Opinion Nation.
And we stand today on the edge of a new frontier.
There is nothing wrong with America that cannot be cured by what is right with America.
What makes us Americans is our shared commitment to an ideal that all of us are created equal.
I, too, am America.
Now here's your host, Bryce Robbins.
Yes, folks, happy birthday indeed to me. Figured I would kind of throw that one in there just for the heck of it. But yes, today, not today, but tomorrow is going to be my birthday, September 4th. But obviously, I am not on air September 4th because it is Sunday and I do Saturday shows. But I just wanted to wish myself a happy birthday. And of course, if any of you want to tweet at me or Facebook or whatever, say happy birthday to your favorite show host, that is more than fine. So today's show is all about me. No, I'm kidding. I do want to talk about a lot of things that are happening right now, but first I'll catch up to speed. So as I did on Finding Common Ground, I will tell everybody who just tunes in, I guess, to Opinion Nation, but you should go tune into Finding Common Ground as well, that I have won my Board of Ed election, which is unfortunate because it was by default. And if you think about it, a 17-year-old just won a spot on the Board of Ed by just showing up. They say half the battle showing up, but apparently not in local politics, because all you need to do is show up. Now, another thing that's been happening recently is, well, kind of fun stuff. I am now in college at George Washington University in Washington, D.C., which I must say is not what I thought it would be, in a good way. I did not realize how much free time I would have. So I've been trying to read and whatnot and, impress my professors and get a good start for grad school. So I've got to start somewhere, got to start quick and now. But in honor of my birthday, there's nothing I want more than to talk about climate change. So there's just one story, one headline I did want to read, and this is from PBS News. So it reads, China, U.S. join climate deal as Obama hails work to save planet. Again, this is from PBS News. So setting aside the cyber and maritime disputes, President Obama and Chinese President Xi Jinping on Saturday sealed their nation's participation in last year's Paris climate change agreement. They hailed their new era of climate cooperation as the best chance for saving the planet. Now, there is an issue with this. Well, first off, the United States and China produce 38% of world's man-made carbon dioxide emissions. So curbing that would be good. The United States is pledged to curb at least emissions by 26% over the next 15 years, and China is going to curb its emissions beginning in 2030. Is this enough is the question. Now, if you are someone who doesn't believe in climate change, perhaps you don't care. But the fact of the matter is the science points in every direction. And I actually had an interesting conversation with a professor. When you say, do you believe in climate change, that is starting the argument off wrong. It's not do you believe in it anymore, it's do you accept the scientific community's suggestion that climate change is in existence. And when the way you phrase it is the way the argument should start, because once you start off with the notion that the scientific community accepts it, it becomes a whole different story than a belief. A belief could be something like religion, where it's kind of up in the air whether or not you want to believe in it or not. Santa Claus is something that you can believe in. The scientific community pointing towards something is an entirely different story. But anyways, my question for this topic is it enough? And the answer is, quote, this is not a fight that any one country, no matter how powerful, can take alone, Obama said. He continues to say, someday we may see this as a moment that we finally decided to save our planet. The question in the end, of course, is this enough to save our planet? And I would go as far to say no. While I do not enjoy Jill Stein, I don't think I disagree with her in this sense. Now, another question that begs to be asked, however, is how do you save it? And I noticed that a lot of people fail to talk about the agriculture industry, which is something that if you are actually into climate change, look into the effects of the agriculture industry, because they are perhaps climate change in our country. But now that I got that out of my system, the birthday party can continue. I found this video online. I only watched a quick bit of it. It's only a minute and 30 seconds. But the story reads that a Trump-backing pastor is busted by a CNN host for lying about his military service and attending college. And while this has really nothing to do with, the Trump campaign, I just want to spread the word on this guy. So his name is Pastor Mark Burns, and he's exposed as a fraud. So I just thought it'd be fun to play. So here we go.
Did you attend North Greenville University?
I did attend North Greenville University.
Did you graduate from North Greenville University?
No, I didn't complete a degree at North Greenville University.
Okay. Again, the bio that's on your website claims that you earned a Bachelor of Science degree. Did you make that claim?
I asked you just a moment ago as we were just opening up this. First of all, I said that we were off the record.
I didn't agree to that.
Yeah, but I did.
We're still rolling. I'm still asking you questions on the record. Did you make that claim that you graduated from North Greenville University?
Because I think this is not fair that this is not fair at all. This is not what I agreed to. I thought we were doing a profile, and all of a sudden you're here to try to destroy my character.
I'm not coming here to destroy your character. These are claims that were made on your website that was live while you were speaking at the Republican National Convention. My question is, are those claims accurate?
The Trump campaign hasn't responded. Pastor Burns has just a short time ago. He put out a statement that reads in part, quote, "As a young man starting my church in Greenville, South Carolina, I overstated several details of my biography because I was worried I wouldn't be taken seriously as a new pastor. This was wrong. I wasn't truthful then, and I have to take full responsibility for my actions." He continues, "I do also want to set the record straight about why this attack is happening, because I am a black man supporting Donald Trump for president. For too long," he says, "African-American votes have been taken for granted by Democratic politicians, and enough is enough. It's a shame that the political insiders and the media choose to attack me because I'm not going to stay silent about Hillary Clinton's pandering to our community."
So there you have it. Now, I didn't even hear the part about military service. But I did hear him lie about his education, at least. And I just think it's funny when people get caught on air lying. I always thought that was funny. I mean, it's ridiculous to actually say that you can even back that up. And then he tries to backtrack on his previous statements. Oh, whatever. Just a bunch of garbage. So anyways, there has been a lot of things in the news, most of which I have really not kept up on. But there have been some things that I have. For example, the iPhone 7 is coming out. And normally I don't ever talk about technological crap, but I did notice that was coming out. Also, I always wonder why it was not waterproof. Because, for God's sakes, if you think about... I know I'm kind of going off on a tangent here, and I normally don't do this. I normally stick straight to politics, but I was just thinking about this yesterday, and it's been bothering me ever since. How there's no way. I mean, my phone, I have a Samsung S7, is water resistant. There is no way iPhone cannot come out with a waterproof phone, meaning I can take it underwater for a very long period of time. For that matter, they should make them shatterproof. But then I guess they would lose out on a lot of money. So that goes that. And I don't know. I just always thought that they really scam you, these phone companies. You break your screen and then it costs just as much as the phone to get your screen replaced. I mean, it really is amazing. I kind of wish that John Oliver would do a show on that, roasting phone companies for their crappy phone usage. But that's beside the point. Anyways, I did want to get into a little bit more of a conversation I had with somebody at my school this week about Black Lives Matter. And BLM obviously is a group that I agree with the notion of, but disagree with how the execution is happening. And, I really was concerned that people aren't looking necessarily at it from a statistical point of view. But anyways, this led to a different conversation. This led to a conversation about safe spaces. And now that I'm on a college campus, I know I've been pretty critical of safe spaces, but I might be taking a different point of view in certain respects. And what I mean by that is there are certain issues that perhaps may warrant one to have their own, safe space, allowing them to be excused from classrooms. And I mean this in cases of sexual assault, rape, and violence of that nature. Should somebody have to sit in a room forcibly and hear about these issues when they have suffered the pain and the effects of that to themselves? Perhaps being excused for that period of time is not a bad idea. When it comes to talking about race and slavery, however, I don't know how much of a safe space is needed for that, but it was an interesting point of view. And I perhaps have never seen it from that perspective, and therefore can officially state that while I do not necessarily agree with the idea of a safe space in general in classroom settings, I can yield the point that in cases of sexual violence and rape, perhaps it is best that some people don't have to relive their, their past experiences. So, in this instance, I yield my point to the person to whom I was debating. And I didn't really debate on that, but it was just a point that they had brought up, and I had kind of, just nodded my head towards, because it made sense, more or less. And in my eyes, I never, and I think a lot of people fail to see it from that point of view. Now, I imagine that number of people is relatively small. I can't imagine that the overarching people who utilize, leaving classes for safe spaces are all in this, boat. I don't have the statistics. I really don't know, so perhaps I shouldn't even have made that claim. But what I will say is that, it must be, I will most likely never, or hopefully, knock on wood, will never have to experience what many of these people have. So who am I to tell them to sit in a class and listen to a book on, or a lecture on X, Y, and Z? I think it's unnecessary, and yeah. So in that sense, I completely yield this point. So, yeah, on my birthday, I'm saying that I have been wrong. In fact, I think the first time I was on Jesse's point of view, we talked about safe spaces, but never talked about it from this point of view, which is kind of funny, Jesse's point of view. I wonder if anyone caught that. But, again, the idea that a safe space isn't just to shelter the younglings and the weak-minded, it is not that, I think, in any sense of the word or form. I think words such as trigger warnings, however, words that can offend you, again, I think that is same case. I think that teachers, perhaps, there should be reasonable, within reason, I think trigger warnings are acceptable to the extent that, as long as it's not about something no one has ever had to deal. If it's something that you've had to deal with, then perhaps I understand. I actually want to read a quote directly from one of my syllabus. Quoted, generic, quote, trigger warnings. As the outline above shows, this course deals with controversial subjects. I do not hide my views about them. For example, I am critical of most of the American military intervention since World War II. It appears that some issues in the readings or lectures might disturb you in other than intellectual ways. Clearly, this professor has humor. And I agree. Very good professor. Please raise these questions with me now, either in person or via email, and we can discuss them. Also regarding particulars at any time during the semester. If, however, you are offended by controversy in principle, this is not the course for you. Another version taught by a different professor is usually offered in the spring semester. So, what I thought would be interesting was to read you that. It's from a very good professor to whom I have, probably doesn't even know my name, by asking questions every day after class. So, again, trying to be a boot kisser to the people who give out the grades. But anyways, I just thought it was interesting how this whole trigger warning and safe space idea is now developing in our society. And, I think that the inclusiveness in our society that is ever growing is scaring many people on the right. And I don't see why it is necessarily a bad thing. I always see on social media or on the news that we're raising a bunch of wussies and pussies and I don't know, whatever type of ussy. And first of all, I must say that in our society, the opening and acceptance of others for their differences and what makes them them is not in any sense a bad thing. So I maybe this is just what liberal college education is doing to me. No, I'm just kidding. But I don't necessarily see the bad in these types of things. I mean, for example, we talked about transgender restrooms. I don't agree with transgender restrooms only for the fact that it's isolationist. Allowing someone to use the bathroom wherever they identify perhaps is a better option, be it that there has never been any cases or far less cases of a transgender person going into a bathroom to molest a child. That has not happened, at least to my knowledge, and from my knowledge, that's never happened. So, there's a whole host of things of our society is, without a doubt, being pushed to the left. And for some reason, when we decide to include others and open our arms to wider communities, it seems that the right wing classifies this as the liberals having an authoritarian takeover of our society and centralizing government, taking over more power away from the people, taking away God-given rights to their guns, liquor, and freedom. But in no sense of anything is that true. I mean, there is nothing, absolutely nothing to suggest that our liberties, freedoms, and our democratic ideals are being taken away by allowing people to use the bathroom they want, by allowing some people to leave classrooms when or if they feel, harmed by the lecture. I don't encourage it. I wouldn't say, you should leave your classroom, but I definitely feel that if somebody has been in an instance of sexual violence and the reading or class lecture is on such a topic, perhaps that person has issues, psychologically from their traumatic event that, perhaps, you don't have to come to class today because I understand. And therefore, it should not harm anyone's grades, their past harmful experiences. But anyways, my overarching point here is that when we have this open, inclusive society, I think it scares more people of previous generations. I think to my generation, it doesn't really matter, and I think that's the way the country's moving. Who cares? And that's more of the consensus. Who cares whether you're X, Y, and Z, or whether you've done X, Y, or Z, or you are X, Y, or Z, fill in the blanks with whatever you want. Nobody cares. Few people seem to be turned off by someone's sexual orientation. In fact, there are a couple of people on my floor who are, homosexual, and that's to me, it's just sexual. It doesn't really matter. And that's perfectly fine. They're just people. So, again, I think that our society is changing, and the fact that people can be openly free about themselves, I think, is excellent. Now, and in fact, one of those people to whom I just mentioned is in the Air Force, and I just, all these arguments of that used to be present all the time about how this would harm our, how do I put this? That the homosexual community would do evil things to our society has just simply not come true. All the arguments that our population will decline evidently is not true, because, just because gay marriage is legal doesn't mean you're going to all of a sudden turn gay. But even if it did mean that, that's who you are, and that's perfectly fine. And I think that being on a college campus teaches me a lot of things. Teaches me that a lot of people in our society argue with emotion as opposed to logic, which is interesting. It teaches me that a lot of people must have done well on their test scores and are not logically sound. And it has also taught me more acceptance of other people, because not everybody is the same, and that is perfectly fine. But be it that, we are going to take a quick break, and when I get back, we will continue Bryce's birthday bash. That's perhaps what I should name this episode. But until then, stay tuned in. Follow me on Twitter at RobinsBryce. And don't forget to shoot me emails if you ever want to be on the show at BryceRobbins at KLRNradio.com. And when we get back, I'm going to open up phone lines if anyone wants to call in. So I'll be back right after this break on Opinion Nation. See you soon, everybody.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of a short story through to the line edits of a full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
All right. Are we back?
We're back.
All right. Are we alive?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Hello. I love when that happens. And it seems to happen more often than not. All right. Be it that we are having somewhat technical difficulties, just letting everybody know, I was going to give out the call-in number, but I will probably save that just to ensure that we can get calls going. So I will not give out that number today, but for future references, we will have a very simple call-in number. So get ready. I want to hear your opinions, and I always enjoy that stuff. So never don't call in. I want to hear your opinions. But anyways, I actually wanted to play a clip from my first story I was talking about, only a minute and 40 seconds. This is President Obama talking about the single best chance to save the world and tackle climate change. So before I play it, I want to give a little background. In 1997, we signed the Kyoto Protocol, but when I say we, I mean the world, most of it, not the United States. And as a result of the United States not signing it, it expired in 2012 and just was absent of working. It turned out that the world could not say it was going to cap its emissions. We are just not good at that. So now we are at the point of voluntary emissions cutting, and it seems that is working better. But let's hear President Obama's take on the issue.
Of course, the Paris Agreement alone won't solve the climate crisis, but it does establish an enduring framework that enables countries to ratchet down their carbon emissions over time and to set more ambitious targets as technology advances. That means full implementation of this agreement will help delay or avoid some of the worst consequences of climate change and pave the way for more progress in the coming years. This is the single best chance that we have to deal with a problem that could end up transforming this planet in a way that makes it very difficult for us to deal with all the other challenges that we may face. President Xi and I intend to continue working together in the months ahead to make sure our countries lead on climate. 3 years ago in California, we first resolved to work together to secure a global agreement to phase down the use of super pollutants known as HFCs. We're now just 6 weeks away from final negotiations. We also have the chance to reach a global agreement to curb emissions from the global airline industry, one that actually has the support of industry. Today, we're putting forward roadmaps to get both negotiations done this year. On each of these issues, the United States and China have now developed a significant record of leadership on one of the most important issues of our time. Our teams have worked together and developed a strong relationship that should serve us very well. Despite our differences on other issues, we hope that our willingness to work together on this issue will inspire greater ambition and greater action around the world.
All right, so there you have President Obama's take on the issue, and obviously a fan of the president. So, you know, his stance on the issue is clear. I agree with it. And to go back to the show from Finding Common Ground, why I will vote for Hillary Clinton is simple. She's not the candidate who said climate change is a hoax invented by the Chinese to stifle American manufacturing. She's not the candidate who, when it was snowing out, said we need some climate change. It would be a good thing. Because no. And I just find it not something to joke about. I mean, if you really look at the statistics and look at the ocean, for example, the increase in atmospheric carbon, and I'm not going to try to get too scientific and technical on you, but since the Industrial Revolution, our carbon in the atmosphere per part per million has increased drastically, to the point where we were, I believe, at around the 250 parts per million number, are now at 400 parts per million. And I know that doesn't sound like much, but from the 90s to today, we have poured so much carbon into the atmosphere. We've gone from, from like 360 parts per million to 400. And that might not sound a lot, but that's in our entire atmosphere. Now, what that means is there's more CO2 because we're pumping out more CO2, which is obvious. You can see that from smokestacks and coal power plants and methane being released, all sorts of avenues for it to get released into the atmosphere. What absorbs that is our oceans and our trees. But to target the oceans, for example, with an increase in CO2 being absorbed by the oceans are actually becoming more acidic. And when they become more acidic, they have the less capability of holding sustainable life because the balance of an environment is completely thrown out of whack. So where an organism and an ecosystem in general have adapted and survived in one area, it is now, drastically changing. And it is killing the oceans. And you can look at the oceans and look up coral bleaching. All the coral reefs are dying, and they're dying because of ocean acidification. Now, if the ocean cannot hold any more carbon, it's going to be a big problem. Now, I understand that in the past, you look at the permafrost melting, there's supposed to be a lot more carbon in the atmosphere, scientists said. And it's just not happening. Miami Beach was supposed to be underwater by now, and it's not really happening. But you cannot deny the fact that you can't breathe the air that comes out of a coal-fired power plant. Ocean acidification is not good. Acid rain is not good. But you know who actually put a pretty big lid on acid rain was George W. Bush Sr. George H.W. Bush, the senior. The latter. But anyways, pollution is what is driving climate change. So saying you don't believe in climate change doesn't really matter. The fact is that pollution is the issue, and we need to target pollution and have pollution reduction. Because in that sense, we will not only live much healthier and cleaner lives, but better lives. Did you know that 60,000 Americans die each year as a result of respiratory failure attributed to coal? So, I don't know. You be the judge on the issue. But what I can tell you is that it would appear that this industry is bad. And even if you look at the workers in coal towns, I don't understand why the federal government doesn't make a workers training program and, have people getting trained in, installation of green energy and getting trained in those senses. So, I don't know. All interesting topics, all, very, very important issues to talk about. I must warn everybody, though, because today is my birthday, I am going to be meeting family members coming to see me. So I will definitely be excited and go out to a nice dinner tonight, see my family, or parts of. But I will have to leave the show early because I have to start cleaning my mess of a dorm because it's only been a week, and believe me, I've been making it home. Dirty, dirty home. Just like normal. And that's beside the point. But I can actually see, I love when my numbers are well. I love looking at good live numbers. It's always fun. Anyways, folks. Really did not prepare too much for today's show. Kind of just a relaxed day. Getting welcomed into college life and whatnot. So I guess that's pretty much that. And next week, however, I'm going to be reaching out. I know I promised it the previous week, but I just didn't have the time. Reach out to a old teacher of mine who actually worked at the NSA. And I want a perspective of national security. And, the NSA has been in a lot of the limelight lately since Edward Snowden and whatnot. And with the movie about Edward Snowden coming out, I want a picture painted for my listeners about what is the NSA really like. Now, be it that I'm saying the words NSA in Washington, D.C., I wonder if they're picking up on me. I mean, they must be, right? I'm very away from the White House. You would imagine that they are monitoring every word, but, pay no attention.
Drones, WMD drones. Just in case they're monitoring, I want to give you some help.
Damn it, Rick. As Rick played in Finding Common Ground, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. That is kind of what I'm going with right now. I also wanted... I'm reading I have a lot of books to read, so I kind of want to every week try to finish a book and go over it on the air and encourage you to read it, almost like one of Oprah's book talk show things, where she could name a book and then instantaneously it would become the next most popular book out there. So I'm considering doing that. The current book I'm reading right now is actually one of them by my professors. It's called Democratic Transitions, Modes and Outcomes. It's talking about the transitions from authoritarian governments to dictatorships and vice versa, and why perhaps sometimes they don't work. And I actually think that this is a book that will enable my liberal argument to be made that we can have a liberal democracy or representative democracy that we have, but have proper government services and stay democratic, like a national health service, perhaps. I mean, think about all those weird countries like Britain and Russia and Canada and Australia. Such weirdos. France, Germany, those weird countries with their weird national health services. But that's beside the point. I mean, yes, we have we do have superior health care, but at the same time, it needs reform because we are paying abhorrent amounts. I mean, we are one of the only countries that doesn't allow our government to negotiate prices with drug companies. As a result, a prescription drug in this country can be dollars in another country where it's hundreds here. And supposedly it's for research and development of new drugs. But, I mean, if you look at the statistics of how many people die from drugs and I mean, it's an interesting topic. And maybe, be it that I'm right down the block from the American Physicians Association, I can maybe get somebody to come on the air. Maybe I'll stop by and do that today on my walk to the Lincoln Memorial. I don't know. Perhaps I'll do that. But anyways, as I said, today was not really much planned because I've just been so busy, and I apologize for that. But next week, again, I'm going to reach out to my teacher who worked for the NSA. He's not just like a sweeper for the NSA. He didn't just kind of, he wasn't a janitor there. He was a pretty high up guy. He actually worked in Afghanistan and Iraq. He speaks 5 different languages. He wrote the Arabic for Dummies book. Check him out on YouTube. Very funny guy, Dr. Keith Massey. But he said he would come on, so, I will hold him to that, and we will definitely have a fun conversation. I did want to talk about real quick, and then I'm probably going to get going, is the football player whose name I can't even pronounce and won't even try to.
Colin Kaepernick.
Say it again?
Colin Kaepernick.
Colin Kaepernick. I found it interesting.
I won't say my nickname for him, but sure will be nice.
I found it interesting that, and I think this goes back even further to the gymnast whose name also escapes me, who didn't put her hand on her heart during the national anthem. Well, for that one, I thought that one was ridiculous. She didn't put her hand over her heart. Normally, I always stand almost at an attention pose when I'm hearing the national anthem. But there was a hilarious picture online of all the Republican nominees holding their hands over their heart, except for, of course, Donald Trump during the national anthem. Thought that was interesting. But anyways, with Colin Kaepernick, if I said his name right, I am just confused. And I know this is a minor issue that the media, of course, is going to blow up because it's sensationalist. But does it really matter? Isn't the whole point that you can or can choose not to stand up? And of course, it's your choice whether you want to take that and hate him for the rest of his life for it. But I mean, I don't see the logic or reason in exploding over somebody who did this. I mean, it's his choice. And if you're really a patriot, then I don't think you would flip out and send death threats over him not standing during the national anthem, and rather acknowledge that he's expressing the very right that those soldiers who lost their lives have fought for. Now, you can be the judge on that, and I will leave you on that note. But again, for next week, I'm going to have my former teacher and former NSA employee come on with me, talk about the NSA, what he can tell me, maybe what he can't tell me. I'm just joking. But until then, I will endure one more week of college, see how it goes, read a couple books, get back to you on that. But until then, I'm Bryce Robbins. This is Opinion Nation, and I'll catch you next week, everybody. Have a good week, everyone.